Simply kicking back and drinking a cup of green tea in Elliot's Law. Sometimes the simple things are the things that you enjoy the most. Now, when you're young, you don't kind of look at it that way. But as you start to age and the numbers start to creep up a little bit, you realize some of the simpler things bring you the most enjoyment. Welcome to another episode of When Black Men Talk. I'm Mark Elliott. And simple. Realistically, you think about just being simple and feeling joy. At the end of the day, what is really better than that? Not much. I want to go into something that a lot of times I pull things that maybe will probably be stronger. And as time kind of went on, we kind of maybe look at it a little differently. And one of the things that for me falls under that heading would be maturity. Yeah, maturity. We think about it when we was younger, for the most part, we looked at maturity a certain way. As we start to age, we continue to look at it a different way. And if you look at current day times, or do we look at maturity at all? Do we expect it? Do we walk in it? Are we living with it? I wanted to take a deep dive into maturity, kind of pull the covers back and dive in and just look at maturity. Simple for the most part. Nothing too deep. But basically, maturity is processing the ability to respond to life situations with an emotional, healthy response and balanced behavior. Simple enough, right? It doesn't call for much when you think about it. It's not much to ask for. But when we really kind of take a deep dive into maturity, it's deeper than that. It's bigger than that. Leans into self control. That's at the center stage right here with all the bright lights beaming down on it. Self control. Accepting responsibilities for your actions, aligning one's value with reality. Whew. Now, age, we always kind of associated age with maturity, believing that as you age, maturity is basically just rides with you, picks up as you're going along, it kind of jumps in your back seat and just ride with you. That's not the truth. A false nomer. Something we thought, but it's not necessarily true. Age does not lean into maturity at all. And that's why sometimes we come across young individuals and we say they're very mature. And we'll say, they're mature beyond their age because we assume that age and maturity, again, are riding close together and they just don't. But let's go back a little bit. Processing the ability to respond to life situations with an emotional, healthy response and balanced behavior. Yeah. Again, sounds simple, but somewhere it just doesn't add up. A lot of times it just doesn't. Self control. Okay, now we're cooking. Self control. Are we really controlling ourselves for the most part? And this one here, man, really just, takes it way out of maturity, in my opinion, way beyond maturity. Accepting responsibility for your actions. How about, aligning your values with reality? And that's interesting because reality sometimes is based on your perception. And I think that's probably a big part of the problem because reality is what reality is. But a lot of times we tend to try to make reality, our perception. And those two things just collide. They really do. Maturity is a process of psychological growth. Here again, it's not based on age. It's a process of psychological growth. Now, I said a little while ago, the healthy emotional response, but you have to understand your emotions. Truly, take time out. Why did I feel this way? Why did I think that way? Why am I feeling like this? Truly understand. Plug in. Spend some time trying to understand. Proceeding wisely. Self-tuning one with self-awareness. Self-awareness. Okay. Yeah. Here's where I think maturity basically goes off rail. And this is what I believe averts us from maturity: comfortability. Comfortability. Psychological growth is not always comfortable. No, it's not. It really isn't. And for that reason, when it's not comfortable, we tend to avoid it. We do that with a lot of things in life. If it's not comfortable, we don't really want to deal with it. But then again, the psychological growth, that is the entrance portal into maturity. That's like taking the key and walking in each time and going deeper and deeper into maturity. That's psychological growth. But if you're feeling uncomfortable and you kind of resist that, I don't want to deal with that. I don't, no, let me kick back in my recliner chair. That's more comfortable. Where's the psychological growth? When is that coming into view? When is that happening? And ironically, over the years, I think as society, we have engraved ourselves into feeling what's comfortable and what's not comfortable. And we use that as a way to basically choose our decisions. If it's not comfortable, why spend any time on it? For the most part, if it doesn't feel comfortable and good, yeah. But that's where we become stagnated in our growth in many areas. We're looking to basically always feel that level of comfortability. And growing, maturing is not always comfortable. It's not meant to be comfortable. Honestly, ask yourself, how comfortable are you with self-tuning your self-awareness? Okay. Do you accept responsibility when things go wrong? Or you quickly to look to blame someone else? What about, would you go back to a certain situation and analyze a role that you played in that situation? Would you check yourself? We like to check others. We can't wait to basically check others. But would you check yourself to see how you could have done things differently, better? Would you atone for what you've done, realizing that you were incorrect? Wow. See, this all rise at the foundation of comfortability. It does. Because if any of those you're uncomfortable with, it's going to affect your maturity. Realistically, if you're not comfortable with, tuning, really changing the spark plugs when it comes to your self awareness, if you run from accepting responsibility, run, it's never your fault. And some of us have been raised not to accept responsibility. Our parents basically taught us because they never accept responsibility. So when you've done something wrong, let's say as a child, you could have done something wrong in school, they look to blame the teachers first. And that's it. It starts there. For a lot of us, it did start there. So realistically, are you ready to accept, or have you been accepting responsibility when things go wrong? But if we don't, you blame someone else and you're cool with that. When you go back to a situation, analyze what you did, how you played, and maybe what you could have done differently. That's checking yourself to see if you could have done something better. And when you do that, you learn the next time to handle it differently. There it is. And when you go back and say to someone, you know what, let me apologize because I didn't do X, Y, Z right. Or if you realize that, do you say to yourself, no, I'm not going to say that to them. You keep it to yourself. But then again, that's the foundation of maturity. And if those things you're uncomfortable with, come on, realistically. Yeah. Because the funny thing here, when you're truly self aware, consistently self aware, accepting your responsibility matters. Looking to improve situations and being easy, and feeling ease at apologizing for past and present wrongs, there it is. And ironically, when you're consistent with that, the self awareness, accepting your responsibility for matters, looking, taking steps to improve situations now and in the future. And you have no hesitation, none, not reluctant to apologize for your wrongs. Trust me when I say this, you will experience a better and greater level of comfortability. You just will. Learning and growing from life situations, that is the basic formula of maturity. See, when we're a child, we're not mature, we haven't had those experiences. How are we treating those experiences in life? How are we dealing with it? How are we growing from it? How are we handling it? Determines your level of maturity. Here's something else I want to kind of point out, and we don't even realize this plays a part in us being immature. Clinging on the hurt of the past. Yeah, clinging on to it tight, really grabbing it and hanging on to the hurt of the past. And I know people say sometimes, you're supposed to forget, and people say just get over it. I'm not saying get over it that quickly or, act like it didn't happen. But I am saying don't cling on to it either. There's no need to cling on to it. Work your way through the hurt of the past. Because when you don't, you spend more mental energy and thinking about it happening again. You're trying to prevent it. You go into all of that. And that doesn't promote it doesn't allow you to gain maturity. Realistically, there's some other aspects of maturity I want to touch into that are rooted in maturity. Emotional regulation, controlling your emotional response and acting logically. Controlling your emotional response. We should all be able to control our emotional response. Sometimes things happen, we go way overboard, which it doesn't call for all that emotional response. And I'm not saying we're not human and from time to time you can't have an outburst. That I'm not speaking of. At times we just go way overboard emotionally, responding to things. And we choose not to act logically. Let's be real. That's a choice to act and think logically regarding the difficulty of a situation. So we think the harder the situation is, it gives us more of a license, more of a will to basically, you know, act emotionally rash. Don't think and treat it logically. Nah, I don't buy that. Empathy and perspective, being considerate of others' feelings, realistically. Being considerate. 2026. If anything that we pride ourselves in is being inconsiderate. Let's get real. A lot of us pride ourselves in being inconsiderate. We just do. We don't want to think of others' feelings. It's about me, only me. If your feelings get hurt, so what? But we need to be, we should be, we're expected to be, we're born to be considerate of others' feelings. Being open minded and available to understand different points of views. Let's go back to that psychological growth. Because your mind is closed. You're not available to understand a different point of view. Guess what? There is no psychological growth. There is no maturity. There is none. It doesn't happen. Resilience and acceptance. Acceptance life imperfections. Nothing in life is perfect. Accept it. Being willing to adopt the change. Grabbing yourself a big dose of serenity. A big dose. A deep, unwavering inner peace and calm that transcends life external chaos. Rooted in self-acceptance. Here we go back to the self-awareness. Rooted in self-acceptance. And when you accept yourself, that doesn't mean you don't have imperfections. You can work on some of the imperfections. You can do things to improve certain things about yourself. That's self-awareness. Transcends life chaos. I can't speak for everyone, but I love that unwavering inner peace and calm. Oh man, take a shower. And that's what I love. You know how good that feels? You know how rich that feels? Faith and harmony and a higher power. I'm gonna let that sit there for a little while. faith, and harmony in a higher power, which allows one to navigate challenges with clarity. You ever notice sometimes you're up against challenges and it's just not clear to you? It's kind of foggy. An amazing thing now, I hear, different pharmaceutical companies say, you got brain fog. Take this pill. No, it's not. The pill ain't going to clear your brain. It's not. That's not brain fog. Your clarity is not there because you're not handling it in a mature way. You're not basically allowing yourself to deal with it in a mature way. That's not brain fog. It's not. Go back to your self acceptance. Go back to your faith and your harmony with a higher power. Yeah, let's try that. I guarantee you that will allow you to navigate those challenges with clarity, resiliency, rather than being swept away by stress and turmoil. We are quick to basically express, I'm stressed out. Think about when you're telling your mind that and you're telling all your organs, I'm stressed out. What do you think they're thinking? Yeah, what do you think they're feeling? When you identify, oh, I'm stressed out. And you feel that way, you think that way because you've heard others say the same thing, realistically. But see, again, if you're moving into serenity, you have that faith and that harmony in a higher power, you may never say those words. It's no need to say those words. It's not quick to utter out of your mouth. You're unbothered by what you cannot change. You feel empowered knowing that you can act and change what you can do, and what you can't do, it doesn't bother you. There goes your serenity. I want to thank you for giving me an air because I like talking, as you can tell. And I enjoy doing this podcast. I really do, man. I love coming into the loft, as I said earlier, grabbing me a cup of green tea. And I love laughing too. So you might notice that from time to time as well. But maturity, I hope I said something that kind of registered somewhere. And if something that was said that, hey, needs some tweaking, we should be the first to jump and start tweaking individually. We all could stand some tuning it up. We just can't, myself included. There's nothing wrong in changing a spark plug, making it fit better and tuning up. We're not perfect, but we all can be better. That's it. You know. And if you don't know, I'm always happy to tell you. God loves you. No matter what you feel, no matter what you go through, never think he's forsake you, he's forgot about you, no matter what's going on. He loves you. No matter what you have done. He loves you. I love you as well. With that being said, we'll get together real soon. By all means, be good to yourself, but be even better to others.